Shaquille O'Neal and Lou Williams were discussing on the Big Podcast, which is a podcast by Shaq. I like the podcast. Kevin Durant's comments about him belonging in the GOAT conversation. So take a listen to what they had to say, and then we're going to come back and react to it. But before we do so, please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
And that part I think is GOAT status. But I'm saying, like, when y'all start doing championships and this, it gets weird.
I think he has his own special category, like me.
Yeah,
I'm not in the GOAT category, but I am one of two of the most dominant players ever. So he's one of two of the most prolific, dominant scorers ever.
Yes.
And I think, like you said, to piggyback on what you said, because you lose to Golden State and then you go join them and win the championship, I think that tarnishes it. Now, if he can win one where he's the bus driver, like Charles would say, I think we would definitely have to put him in that conversation. But right now, I don't really have him that, but he does have his own
category. Get one next year, that whole narrative gets wiped away.
Yes.
So there you have it. It's a lot to unpack there. I feel like there's definitely some truth to what they're saying, that KD being quote-unquote the bus driver on the championship would help. Though I believe that he was the bus driver in Golden State. He was the best player on that team at that time. Stephen Curry went on and surpassed him, but when they played together, it was KD who was the number one. However, he did not own the bus. It was still Steph's bus. This is the way I look at it, the Golden State thing. And the fact that he lost to those Warriors who won the championship and everything, I don't give him a lot of credit for those championships. He played great, but I feel like had it been another top 10 to top 15 player on those Warriors, they still win that championship. And I don't like that. However, if KD were to, quote-unquote, go out there and win his own championship, then, yeah, we have to take that into consideration and elevate him. That being said, what I start to notice about the GOAT conversations is that it's become way too all-inclusive. And it doesn't make sense anymore, especially from guys like Shaq or Charles Barkley, for example. It feels like with the win, they just changed their criteria or the way they feel about the GOAT. And I've heard sometimes the conversation being, it's MJ, I don't care. The conversation being, it's Kobe, I don't care. The conversation being, oh, when LeBron James did this, is the GOAT, and that's that. And every day they keep on adding people, and at some point it doesn't make sense. Like Shaq right now, he wants in the conversation, he wants Mike, he wants LeBron, he wants Kobe, he wants Kareem, he wants Stephen Curry, and now KD. That's already 6 names, bro. It can only be one GOAT. So even if KD actually won the championship, what we need to start doing is saying, okay, who is he passing? Who is he kicking out? So if we look at all of the names that we mentioned previously, would one championship put KD over Stephen Curry, for example? I don't even believe Stephen Curry should be in the GOAT conversation. I believe Stephen Curry is a top 10 player of all time, and that's about it. But yeah, would you rank KD above Stephen Curry with 3 rings versus 4 versus with 1 MVP versus 1 unanimous MVP? Would you do that? You can argue the finals MVP for KD. You can argue that his overall stats are better, but I don't think KD should pass Stephen Curry with 1 championship. I don't think so, because Stephen Curry was able to win 2 without KD. You know? So that's that. Would you put KD above Kobe? You know, like, I don't think you would do that. Would 1 championship with KD over LeBron James? It just wouldn't do so. You know, so these conversations, they get kind of weird. Unless you actually believe that as a basketball player, KD is already as good as those guys, if not better, and then it's just a resume thing. And if it's how you feel, then there's nothing that really can be argued about that. You know, so yeah, the GOAT conversation, man, I feel like KD, I understand why he feels that way. And to some extent, I believe that anyone out there, if you were to be just as good as KD is at basketball, at anything in life, we would walk around beating our chest like, yeah, can't nobody mess with me. So I'm not really mad at KD for saying what he said, but yeah, it doesn't make sense. I feel like that ship has sailed for KD right now, quite frankly. Unless, yeah, again, for him to be the GOAT, it would have to be better than LeBron James. And right now, if you ask most people, they'll say LeBron James is a top 2 to top 5 player of all time. And they would say KD is a top 10 to top 20 player of all time. This is what most people would say. So for one championship to completely change this whole thing and for KD to leapfrog like 10 players at once, it just doesn't make any sense for me. He would have to win 2. Add on another MVP. Break a bunch of records. Like, it's just a lot that needs to happen. It's not just a one ring type of thing or not. Now, what that would do is that would shut down all of the narratives and all of the disrespect. And all of a sudden, rather than just hating on KD like most people still do, I'm not hating on KD personally for some stuff that happened in 2016. But yeah, KD would have just a bunch of lovers, and we would just talk about how great his game, how pretty his game is, how good he is at shooting the basketball. That type of stuff. And for him, I guess, on a personal level, that's an accomplishment that he can cross off the list, and he can be comfortable with his legacy, or at least more than what he seems to show when he goes back and forth with people on social media and all that stuff. So yeah, I think this is what that does. However, does it even really matter in the grand scheme of things, though? Because if you think about it, when we reflect on KD's career 10 to 20 years from now after he's retired, we'll just be like, yeah, he's a 2-time champ or a 3-time champ. But we won't be like, yeah, KD, fuck his ring, the rings are fake. People will get off that with time. Like, context tends to kind of fade away with time, and anything, we'll just remember the big headlines. So yeah, GOAT conversations, yeah, I don't believe one championship moved the needle that much for Kevin Durant. I just don't, in my personal opinion. What I would like for all of these players that get on this podcast is for them to have either criterias or just a list of where people rank, and for the list not to be that fluid, because it doesn't make sense. For a guy like LeBron James or Stephen Curry to move up and down the rankings, I guess because they're still playing, but I don't know. Like, Michael Jordan can't, as a retired player, be the GOAT, and then one day LeBron James becomes the whole time scoring leader of all time, and then Shaquille O'Neal gets on the podcast and he'll be like, yeah, this is what made LeBron James the GOAT, and then the next day it's Kobe. You know, like, that doesn't make sense. So anyways, we're going to close the video right here. These are my thoughts. If you made it this far, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you for checking out the content. And get in that comment section and tell me, do you believe that one ring for KD, one extra ring, not on the quote-unquote super team, although the Suns, you can make a case, it's a super team anyways. But yeah, do you believe that actually puts him in the GOAT conversation? It's been your boy, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.